Oh, did you want to say something? Go ahead.
Hi, Brandon.
Okay. Yeah, Brandon. Brandon's just over there being sexy. Shout out showrunner Brandon. Question. Where did chess come from? When was it invented? What do we know? How far back does it go?
So chess dates back to 600 AD. And it was born out of an evolution of the game Chaturanga, or Chaturanga, depending on how you pronounce it in India. And it was literally invented as a form of peaceful conflict resolution, which is one of the cool things if you really want to just appreciate what the game could be as like a symbol of strategic thinking and the things that make the game great. The fact that it was literally born out of a way to like settle land disputes peacefully between kings is actually pretty dope. People don't know that. Then the game moved west, ironically, with Alexander Great and the Persian army as they dominated and conquered and killed a lot of people. So Alexander the Great brought the game from the east, the Persian army, to the west. The game that we play today, modernized, and the rules that we still use kind of settled around the medieval times. It was actually Queen Isabella of Spain, who popularized and made the queen the most powerful piece. Until that, the bishop and the rook kind of like shared different powers, but she was the one who was like, no, screw that. I'm making the queen the most powerful piece on the board.
So this one woman was like, fuck yeah.
No, in many ways, Queen Isabella is like the most powerful person in chess. At the time, she was probably the most powerful human in the world, actually, you could argue. And there's a lot of, I've learned about this because I got this question a lot. So I became educated because I wanted to be able to speak.
Wow. So she was like the Drake of back in the day.
She was like, I dubbed the queen because ladies be in power and
let's go.
And she's the most powerful. And that's how the game had the queen. And then the last innovation was en passant, which started when they changed the rule that pawns could move twice.
Yes.
They invented en passant as a way to kind of counter that. And now I'm probably way too in the weeds, but anyway, that's the history of how the game moved to Europe. And one of the last things I'll cap with that makes chess special is that chess was really the first game for whatever, I don't know why, if it was just a unique set of individuals who did it or something about because the game had always been associated with high society. Because if you think about it, Alexander the Great brought it west, right? Then Queen Isabella, like it's a really important game. Chess was always associated with, I want to say like royalty, the rich and powerful. And because it was a symbol of power in some ways in strategic thinking, like you didn't have a chess set in like a poor person's home. You had chess in like palaces.
Wow.
And the reason that's interesting is because chess has always sort of traveled with the times and kind of been a symbol, and the game itself has kind of evolved with the times. I mean, like, at one point it was a symbol of like science. And then it's like in the industrial age, it was like a symbol of power. And then the Cold War, it was literally a grip and a battle between Russia and the Soviet Union and the US about who had the smartest people in the world. Wow. They were racing to the moon, right? They were doing all the shit. And like, that's why Bobby Fischer beating Spassky in this 72 was so big. So chess is just, and then if you go to the 90s, like if I remind people, like they don't even remember his name, but if I say, remember the guy who lost to the computer, they go, oh yeah, exactly. So yeah. I always say this, you transcended when someone can describe who you are without saying your name.
Wow.
They can say, who was that American? They say, who was that American who beat the Russians? And even if you don't remember it was Bobby Fischer, you know who they're describing. They say, who was that Russian guy who lost to the computer? It was like deep green, and IBM, it was deep blue. But like they say that. And nowadays they say, who's that red-haired girl who Netflix made a documentary about? Was it a documentary or was it real? And everyone kind of knows you're talking about this Beth Harmon character because it transcended into like modern culture. So anyway, that's my end of a chess rant of just how crazy the game has been.
Well, I appreciate you for going into such depth about that. And I also